Bow. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. Today, we're going to be painting up our upcoming release, Black Cat. I'm ready to steal your hearts and your tokens, because that's what she does. The Master Thief. Super excited to be painting this miniature up. It was a fun design to work with and come up with, and from not just a miniature but also developmental. So instead of me yammering on, switch it over to the minicam. Let's get to painting. Let's start the questions. Let's have a good time. I keep looking over here. I know the camera's there, but my monitor's there. Sorry. All right, let me kick this over to minicam. Boom. There we go. Let's get painting. I can't find some bottled skin tone, so I'm just going to mix something up. I got a bunch of reds, yellows, blues, and greens on my palette. I'm just going to kind of grab sort of whatever my heart tells me is right, whatever makes me feel good. Might be a little too yellow, put a little green back in there. So we're just going to mix something up. I'm just going to create a whole bunch of colors on the palette. And we're just going to start painting. So this is, I love this miniature. Very interesting from a design perspective. And create some interesting questions for painters. So I'm going to be asking myself a lot of questions when I'm painting this. And all it has to do with shadows and highlights. So I think that this is just an interesting thing you don't see very often. And I think it's fun and very unique and very characterful, which is what we're about. Looks a little heavy, I'm sure, but right there. Feel like you got too much paint, that second brush. Use it to whisk it out. I was painting last night and I failed to clean my brush. Not last night, but the night before. Failed to clean my brush. I got sleepy. I just quit. Alright. So I'm just kind of kicking that on and I'm just going to let that go. So I did make a wash out of some black. Typically, if you watch the show, Shik and I do a lot of black wash over zenith to create our colors. This was just black wash straight over zenith. A lot of times you'll see that both of us will put like a blue down. I know Hold Your Blue is very popular with us. But I didn't do anything. I want to keep this very neutral. So I want to keep neutral colors on the costume. Grays. Maybe we'll throw a little color in there here and there to get it set up. How dare me? Dare me what? I don't know. I don't know what did I dare to do? Does the girder leg attach in only one way, or could you? Fallout Blood, in my opinion, it's miniatures. So the only limit is you. And you should believe in the me that believes in you. You can accomplish anything through a hobby. So you can do whatever you want. If you want to change the girder, if you want to maybe put her on a cool tactical explosion to match with Amazing Spider-Man, you could do that. You can do whatever your heart desires. It's miniatures. The only limit is the limits we put on ourselves. Let's get a little more black in there. Let's put a little touch of, I want some warmth in the let's think about this from a composition standpoint. Who said it's about sculpting, Fallout Blood? Sometimes it's just about kit bashing and throwing some things together. Let's do some purples. I want some purples. Let's put a little purple in there. Yeah, we talk a lot about, so it's interesting. There's a lot of really great conversions, and we are definitely about telling a little story and incorporating some city elements into that story, which I think is very important, especially if you remember there's a crisis going on. So, all these little accoutrements on the bases is there to tell the story of the crisis, right? So like this girder, this could have been thrown from the Hulk and it's like stuck into the ground, and there's some rubble around it. And if you wanted to add more rubble, you can add more rubble. Somebody like Wolverine has just a single rock, which to me is just a piece of building that has come loose during the battle. And sometimes we go a little further than other times on those pieces. And that's a lot of design philosophy that we work with. Not everything should be done like the Lizard, right? Where he has this crazy, over-the-top, ridiculous sculpt and basing element. Not everything should be like that. And not everything can be like that. There's no way we can maintain that as a design directive. So you want to have a bell curve, in my opinion, of small little things. Like Wolverine has like a little chunk of building, and if you want to tell a bigger story, you can add like some lovely little bits of rocks that are easily collected from around your neighborhood or even your hobby store, and you can accentuate that story. And then we have things like Amazing Spider-Man that's like, swinging around a Daily Bugle signage with some explosions. In my head, it's always been like pumpkin bombs coming from the Green Goblin, and he's dodging and swinging aside from those pumpkin bombs, right? The explosions on the side of Quicksilver, that Quicksilver, I always like, that's definitely like, if you watch the movie, you know what's happening on that. I don't know why you'd put him on the side. That was definitely inspired by some wonderful cinematic action. Yeah, true, player choice. I'm mixing up some paints while we're talking here, so you gotta forgive me. You can do whatever you want. We love it. We love seeing your interpretations, and you tell your story. Miniatures to me are a starting point. If you want to take the story further, take the story further. Yes, actually, there's a couple pieces of art. If you look at Black Cat, we always imagine Black Cat has a lot of iterations. We definitely love the cat burglar-esque, agile Black Cat, and I thought it'd be a wonderful challenge to do something like that. And so we actually we did several iterations of the pose to get this little elegant backflip to really show the agility of Black Cat. I think it was a fun experiment. We learned a lot. Got some new ideas out of doing this. Like I've talked several times, like every sculpt we do is just the result of something we learned from a previous sculpt. And so it's all about just getting better and learning and growing and all that. I don't think I understand Fallout Blood. Regular wing on tiny wasp. I don't understand. Is that a question? I'm not following, sorry. So I got a little purple gray here, and I'm just creating some very soft highlights on my black costume. And that's the really cool part about the Marvel Universe is there's so many versions and interpretations. And there's so many things we can do. On these characters, you know, the possibilities are limitless. And as Shik has said before, you know, we want to get to every character. We want to get to every iteration because it's somebody's favorite. And we love that it's your favorite. Yeah, we got a lot of characters out. We're a busy team over here, and we crank out the jams. A lot of the poses are inspired by stuff. Like we look at art and we talk about them, right? And then we yell about them, and then somebody's like standing in the middle of the room going, no, more like this. And then we take all those ideas and we start drawing ideas, and we come up with several more, and then we pick from those. Every iteration is going to follow me around for years. I mean, iterations are a thing. That's just art. We draw. Sometimes they're one and dones. Sometimes it's just like you know exactly what the character is going to look like and what's in the head, what's in my head, and then you know our Shik's head. It's just like Shik is like this, and then I'm like, okay, I got it, and then we just do it, and then it's like, okay, cool, we got it. And then other times it's just like, okay, well we want something where this sort of action, but what does that mean? So that's when you have a team of people standing around like posing, and then we get a bunch of ideas out, and then we draw more ideas, and then you start to like break those down, and then you go, okay, well that doesn't quite work, and then I go to the engineers, or I go to Marco and Evan, Kevin, and Corey, and that whole team. There's a whole team. And I'm like, okay, guys, I got this thing. Like, what do you think? And they're like, oh, no. And then we got to figure out how to make it work. And then, you know, you do adjustments there, and you just keep tweaking and growing it. It's awesome. I mean, we definitely got gym mats because that's what I'm standing on right now. Because I'm standing and I'm barefoot, streaming from the house has its benefits. Okay, we're gonna mix a little green. If you join any of my streams or if you watch my how to paint faces, we don't pose and draw the pose. It's more of you discuss the pose, so you're not standing around while somebody draws you. You gotta see it in 3D, right? And I do love the idea of me just laying backwards in a rolly chair in the office, though, while somebody draws me. That's not how it works. It's more of a philosophical, like this, and then no, like this, and then everybody going, oh yeah, I see it, and then we give it to an artist, somebody like Presser Josh or myself, and we draw it out, and we draw several different versions of what we were looking like in real life. Like, that's not how it works every time, but that's how it works sometimes. Come to karaoke, I'll sing that song. Okay, so this is the interesting part of this miniature. One of the many interesting parts in my eyes. I like miniatures that don't do what you normally think of in miniatures, and I like miniatures that are like things that are pushing boundaries. I think that's interesting. Anyways, the light is going to work on this different than you would normally paint, right? So normally you shade under this chin, but obviously the chin is facing up. Obviously the chin is facing up, so the light's going to catch. But I am going to put in just the tiniest amount of green shade on the underside, because I think your mind is going to want that there, because the head is upside down. And just a subtle green mixed with my base color, and just a gentle shade, very, very gentle, but we don't want to overdo it. We just want to give her some definition. We just want to give her a little bit of this and that. I finally did get my lizard painted. See, we're talking about lizard, but I can't tell what we're talking about. I got my lizard painted. I'm so excited. Okay, let's add a little more light to the gray. Add a little more purple and light. So we're adding white. We could add pink or magenta here as well. Can we see lizard on stream? I mean, you gotta entertain yourselves for 5 seconds. Just pretend I was deep in thought mixing a color there. I was like, oh, what is this color? And you all were just waiting to see the color. I think this needs a little bit of magenta, though. You always gotta have a good magenta. Schick painted lizard yesterday on stream. I finished mine up. I did start mine on stream. This is where, whoop, so much blue stuff. This is where mine ended up. So ferocious, a lot of neat fun blends in the water. Nice rusty manhole cover. Those piercing red eyes. Love that miniature. Love it. So fun. All right. We got a little bit of white, a little bit of magenta. We're just going to start highlighting. Just along those seams. Little fabric folds. Yeah, the red was just, it was too much. So I switched it back to the white. I apologize. Do I use any certain colors to add depth? I don't usually have a plan. I just kind of go into it. Sometimes it's with the character, what you feel. Blacks like blues and purples in them. Sometimes you just want some neutral grays. I do use a lot of the blue mixed into my blacks. Today I'm doing the purple. Very desaturated purple though. It's not punchy at all. We're just using some purple, and the reason I decided on the purple instead of the black, a lot of times the black is, or instead of the blue, blue is very cold, it's a very cool color. Purple has some warmth to it, and the white on her hair and the fur, I'm going to make very cool. So by having cool fur and warm black, you get contrast. Once again, contrast, contrast, contrast. There's many different types of contrast, not just light and dark. So I want to play with, I try to play with as many different versions of contrast as I can in the smallest amount of space. That's what gives you, that's what makes the miniature visually interesting. Right? It gives visual interest, makes you want to run your eyes over the miniature, go from place to place, and explore what the artist did, or the painter. You're all, whoops, made a mistake, brush got carried away, second brush is damp, clean that up, walk away from that leg, let it dry, go highlight somewhere else. But you're all little artists in your own ways. That's what we all are. Just little artists in our own little ways. Don't let anybody tell you different. Even if you only paint once a week. Get in there and have fun with that art. Knuckles. Usually do 2 knuckles on each finger, then depending on the angle I might cut that back. Like that one I did 2 knuckles on 2 fingers, 1 knuckle on 2 other fingers. That's just a choice I made. This is kind of up, so I'm going to do the top, and then I'll go to knuckles. Wrinkly claws, top of thumb. Paint is nice and wet. I think you can say there's a lot. I don't think there's a lot of models on beams. We've definitely used the beams. It ties the story together. It makes you, but there's always something. We're always exploring stuff and seeing what we can do. I think we've done some pretty interesting stuff. We're always looking for more ideas and doing new stuff. It's a reminder also that it's a fight in the city, right? There's a crisis going on. I think we have a lot of interesting stuff, and sometimes you want to pull that element back into the story or use it in a different way. And once again, there's player choice. If you want to base it different, I've definitely rebased some of mine. I've shown them here. I've shown them on the internets. Rebase them up. It's a hobby game, and I believe in you. Yeah, Miles, the way he interacts with the environment is super fun. That was a great one. To go back, we've talked about like light poles and stuff like that, and they, like, for us to make them, they're actually a little too tall. They're a little too tall in real life, so we've kind of avoided those. All right, I want a nice red. I want like a warm, dark red. So we're just going to take some red and maybe a little blue. And let's go back to magenta. We're going to make a nice, rich, and some burnt sienna. We have some burnt sienna somewhere. Somewhere there's a burnt sienna on my desk. Yes, burnt sienna. Lamps are just like big, tall light posts are just a little too tall for production wise. Like those are like 20-some foot tall. So it translates into like something very, very tall for us, which means a bigger frame, which gets into a whole lot of other cans of worms that I'm not gonna discuss. Okay, so burnt sienna mixed with our flesh. And then we're going to take some medium. We're going to make it translucent. Yeah, that's a cool conversion. We have to watch what we do because we don't want to increase. We have to, like, you know, if we add that to a character frame, that adds a lot to. It gets complicated. Trust me. I think that's a really fun little conversion. So it's just a little translucent red mixed in with the skin tone I chose. I'm just going to use this to warm her up. You don't want it to be green. It looks very unhealthy. But if you put red over green, you get a nice brown, which gets you a nice shade to flesh. Yeah, they open themselves up. Like the more outrageous we get, the more it actually opens up to the hobbyist, right? If we just do a bunch of characters standing around waiting for the bus stop, it doesn't give you a lot. But we can have fun with the characters, and we can tell a story. Not only do they make them interesting for the game, they make them interesting for painters who want to paint them up for something like the Worthy. It opens up to hobbyists to kind of explore and tell their own version of the story. And we have to, if we're making something to go on the base, we have frame space that we have to take into consideration. That's something we have to take into consideration, is things like frame space. So like if you want a 30-foot tall lamppost with a Spider-Man, now we have to translate that into a 30-foot long lamppost, which translates into a big frame, which takes up frame space. You know? Now what I might do here after stream is flip her face up so I can kind of I kind of like where the black suit is at. So I want to base coat the hair. So as I said, I want the hair to be nice and cool. I was looking at some fun art, a black cat for some inspiration. There's a lot of really cool pictures with her where the colorist added this like lovely like cold color to the hair. So I want to do kind of the same thing. So I need a little purple and a little light blue, and I'm going to make like a really wonderful color that's really weird for hair. It's going to look a little odd at first. And go right there. This is just going to be the base color. So very like light, icy purple. And then we'll make a dark version of this to like add to the shadows, but I just want to get like a nice base on there to kind of establish the color. I do love the Fastball Special. That's a classic comic book reference, and I do love it. We're just going to bring this into around the fur. I'm not done painting the skin, but sometimes I just block stuff in for the heck of it. And then next week, Schick and I are finally going to get our game against each other. Oh, Adam G157. Yeah, that card, Get Help. I love that card. I think it's so fun. And that's one of our favorite things to do, right? We love the flavor and the story of comics. And like I said, sometimes it's just about telling that story on the tabletop. Like I know Schick showed a card yesterday, Fearful Symmetry. There's just one of the most flavorful narrative cards, and I think that's just so much fun to be able to explore that. I mean, Fearful Symmetry, if you know, is probably one of Craven's greatest and most character defining storylines. So being able to explore that to the game is such an interesting and fun thing to do. Yeah, Sibling Rivalry was the name of the card. It's not supposed to be competitive, Fallout. Maybe you come over and we're playing a game and I'm like, oh my god, I love Fearful Symmetry. I think that was one of the best stories. And you're like, dude, yeah, right? I was like, that story was so awesome. And then we can be like, oh, let's play it on Marvel Crisis Protocol. Cool, who's going to be Kraven? Oh, I want to be Kraven. Okay, awesome, I'll be Spider-Man. Let's see what happens. And Kraven goes on the hunt. It's all about telling a story and having fun together and doing something ridiculous and just enjoyable. And that's been the fun of being able to help bring MCP to your tabletop and your games, is to see everybody telling those stories and doing something fun. That was what's fun about the roster challenge Chick and I did. It's just we got to just kind of get in there and just tell our own little story against each other. And that was just such a wonderful little project that we did last month. And I got 10 characters that now don't fit with the rest of my collection, but they fit within the story of what Schick and I told and what we're going to continue to tell. And that's the fun of it. That's the joy that I get to see in what you as the community build. And I love it. Okay, I'm going to hold her real still. We're going to have to paint a shadow on the fur anyways. So I'm going to bring that dark line. This is green and red mixed together. Just to create a dark line. A classic war game technique is called blacklining, which I'm more into what's called dark lining. So it's the idea of black lining, except for you use dark colors, not just black. There's a time and a place for pure black. To me, this is not it. So I'm going to use a dark line to create the definition around elements. And in this case, the dark is actually just green and red mixed together to make a really lovely dark skin tone. And we can blend one out on this side because the shadow will be much broader. And then in just a line around her necklace. Like that. Something like that. All right. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Let's mix a little gray and black. It looks like a kind of little black right there. And it looks like I missed the back of this heel. So I'm just going to come in on that side, darken that heel up. No big whoop. She's going to be table ready. She's not heading to the path of the worthy. She's heading to the tabletop. Let's mix some blues, blacks, grays together. Pretty happy with where it's coming along, release. I always say, not bad for an hour. A lot of my Marvel Crisis Protocol I'm trying to paint in 1 to 2 hours. So like a lot of times I'll paint on stream for an hour and then I'll try to finish. It's not always, I can't always finish. And then I'll take it off camera to do sort of the high fidelity finish touches or stuff like that, just to finish it up. Want to get them on the table and look cool. I do have a couple projects coming up that's a little more than tabletop. So we'll see where I get with those and keep your eye out. All right, I'm going to go much higher value here. I'm going to put some little undo the extreme highlights on the whip in little hatch marks to kind of indicate like a braided whip. These don't have to be perfectly placed. How many times as a parent I tell myself there's not mistakes? Oh, I tell myself painting miniatures is the fine art of correcting one's mistakes. You're just always fixing what you did. And also fear regret, not failure. I'd rather fail at trying something than to not try it at all. And sit there and be like, I wish I would have done that, or I wish I would have tried that. I'd rather be like, you know what, I tried that thing, it didn't quite work. So how can I do it better next time? I think that's an important mentality for me to take on, is like, you know, it's about learning. It's about developing skills and becoming better at the things we do. And sometimes that just means kind of like, you know, blundering to some extent, you know. I've talked before on the stream, I told my kid, you can't learn by winning. Sometimes you just gotta, sometimes the baseball just has to hit you a couple times before you learn how to catch it. All right, the tiniest little dots, tiniest little highlights. That one wasn't as tiny as it should have been, but c'est la vie. Just some little tiny dots, just to bring in a little higher contrast. My favorite color is done, so I get you, release. And perfect is the enemy of good. Also, there's no such thing as perfect. Just little bing highlights. The tiniest little dots. I missed it. Oh, I missed that. Yeah. My favorite 3 sculpts for MCP, that's not a fair question. They're all my children. You can't pick your favorite. I love every single one for a multitude of reasons, right? It's like, I can't tell you what my favorite food is. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, what's my favorite food on my birthday is my different favorite food for Thanksgiving. That's my different favorite food for a Friday night. And then a different favorite food for breakfast. It's like saying, what's your favorite song? I don't know, am I sad? My favorite sad song might be something, but it depends on what kind of sad I am. I know, I'm no fun. I don't work in absolutes. My brain don't work that way. It makes it no fun, I know. Alright, dark purpley gray. Pancakes are delicious, don't get me wrong. Though today we had brunch and I totally had chicken and waffles. I had a meeting with Schick, and he called, and I was just like eating chicken waffles for brunch. It was fantastic. I love too many different things for me to have a favorite, I think that's my problem. It's like, what's your favorite movie? I don't know. What am I doing tonight? Am I painting? I definitely have my paint movie list. That's different than my sad movie list or my happy movie list. Or my invite people over and be like, you gotta watch this nonsense list. But definitely when it comes to miniatures we make, I'm like, I love all of them for different reasons. They all have like their little different puzzles that we had to figure out on how to like sculpt or engineer or, you know, design from the get. Like there's all these, it's all these little puzzles that we grok. And, you know, you start to like look at them and you're just like, oh, you know, that was great. That was great fun to work on because of this. This was great fun to work on because of this. I really think this fur is going to get more love than, you know, the black actually, because it's white, so you need a lot of different tones in there. It's not about the paint drying, it's about the applying. Oh my gosh, we only got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Have I forgotten anything? BK, is there anything I need to like do or say? Did I forget? I feel like I forgot. I need tweezers. It's a tiny hair caught in the paint. Get that out. So I got pretty far along. I'll probably do the face off camera. I'm going to do a little turquoise art ink and some pure black. Mix those together. Makes it much blacker black. We're going to do a little shadow just to darken some of the costume. Like the underside's catching some light I don't particularly like. Oh, look at that. Subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends. Tell your loved ones. Tell your family. Get your dog involved. Honestly, though, seriously. Get the dog involved. I love dogs. If you know, like, subscribe. We're here every Monday. No, we're not here on Monday. Tuesday through Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Here over on Twitch. Tomorrow we got Mr. John Schaefer painting some fun stuff up. Tuesday, I lost my black paint. Where the heck it go? Tuesdays we got Mr. Will Sheck. He paints some fun stuff. And also on Wednesdays, Mr. Will Sheck, he'll be painting some fun stuff up. You can join me on Thursdays. I paint fun stuff up. So you should join us and check it out. Show us what you're painting. Right now we got the hashtag painting protocol going on. We need to show last month's high flyers. And this month is, oh my gosh, I forgot again. The worst. BK's going to tell me. Because I believe in BK and I believe in you. Alright, that's feeling pretty good. I just wanted to darken that down just a little tiny bit. And now I want some blue. Let's desaturate that blue just a little tiny bit. Oh, it's Extreme Miniatures. I knew that. I knew that. So we want to see your most extreme miniatures. So you can share those over on Instagram. Use the hashtag painting protocol. And every month we take a look at them and we choose some of our favorites and then we share them here on the streams. It's a lot of fun. I love seeing what the community is doing with their miniatures. Remember, they're your miniatures and you should tell a story. That's what it's about. You know, and if you have an idea, you're like, I'm not a good sculptor. That's okay. That's okay. Try it. Try it out. See what happens. You know, you can't learn by winning. Sometimes you just gotta get in there and give it a go and see what happens. Ask a lot of questions. Look at what people are doing. You know, it's a lot of fun to try something out. I know Schick decided to add a cape to his Thanos, and he was talking to me. He's just like, I'm not a good sculptor. I don't know how to do this. And so I talked him through a few steps, and he got in there and he gave it a go. And did it come out, you know, perfect? Or is it professional level sculpting? No, but that's okay. It's a great try, and he learned a lot from just the trying of the thing. And I think that that's so important and something we forget a lot. It's just sometimes the trying of the thing is more important than the succeeding of the thing. Does that make sense? You're not going to ruin your miniature. I'm not a big fan of hearing that phrase. You're not ruining your miniature. You're learning something. And that's super important. I got miniatures that I tried stuff on and it didn't quite work, and I still put them on the table and I still play with them, and you know, someday you go back and you're like, you know what, I've learned a lot. I'd like to try this again. And maybe you grab the same miniature and you paint it up with your new skills that you've developed and you've learned. And then you can put it side by side to that one you painted, you know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I'm not saying that that's me. And you look at it and you can just be like, wow, I grew so much. I'm so glad I tried that and I kept going, because this is where I'm at now. And I just realized it's 2 o'clock. Hopefully that made sense. Not just a bunch of nonsense rambling, because that's not fun. All right, let me clean my brush. Let me kick it back over to the other camera. Lose my mouse. This one. Okay. So hopefully that was interesting and fun, and we're gonna get our black cat ready pretty soon. Like I said, I'm gonna flip it upside down, right side up, and do the face and all the little tight details. I'm on this gimbal to keep me on the frame for you. As I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch. You can check us out. Tomorrow's Mr. John Schaefer. He'll be painting up something super, super cool. And so hopefully you join in and check that out. And until next week, we'll catch you later. Have a great weekend. And remember, be the hero we know you can be. Talk to you later. Bye. Black cat.